So the Sitzer and Burnett case has been finalized with the Department of Justice. This Tuesday, the $1.8 billion lawsuit is now finalized at $418 million. Boy, they cut that down, but nothing else has changed. Still the same deal as it was as of August 17th. Going forward, any agent putting a property on MLS, the commission for the buyer's agent can't be on there anymore. It's been removed completely, okay? And the buyer's agents and buyers have to negotiate and formalize a buyer-broker agreement before they look at one property now. Never used to be the case before, but now you have to have that in place before you look at one property together, okay? And the commission amount has to be agreed upon on that buyer-broker agreement that you're going to pay your buyer's agent. So that's really changed the game up in that arena of the real estate world. What's going on with the commission on the listing being on MLS, that's just been removed, taken off before an agent could look and see what they're going to get paid if they close this deal. And the commission has always been baked in, if you will, with the sellers. So when a listing agent will go in and say, listen, we're going to list the house for whatever percentage it's going to be total, they're going to take a percentage of that out of that commission the listing agent is going to get, and they're going to offer it or market it out to buyer's agents. So when they know, when they see the property, if they bring a buyer, they close a deal, they're going to get paid this amount of money. But now, that's the big mystery. Now we don't know, because right now they look on the MLS, there's nothing there. They have to write it now in the purchase agreement and present it to the seller saying, okay, here's the price we're going to offer for the property. Here's all of our terms and conditions. And here is what we need you to pay my buyer's agent. Okay, so that's really how that's all going to work. 89% of buyers out there are using a real estate agent to represent them on the purchase. And that is up 3% from last year. It was 86%, now it's up to 89%. Almost 9 out of 10 buyers are using a real estate agent to represent them on all purchases. So think about that as a seller going forward. If you're thinking, I'm not going to pay a buyer agent, you might want to sit down and rethink that a little bit. You could always try it, see how it goes. If I'm listing my house and I'm selling my house, which I've done before, my personal home, I'm paying a commission, and I'm paying the average. The average right now has dropped down a little bit too. After the lawsuit. Before the lawsuit, it was about 2.875 was the national average for a buyer commission, okay? And that has dropped down to 2.55 now. So you're still at 2.55 for a national average. Some paying a little bit less, some paying a little bit more than 2.55, okay? So please keep that in mind, keep those in your numbers when you're formulating everything on, how much am I going to make when I do sell my house and it closes? What's my final check going to look like, right? So, and speaking of that, I talked recently to a potential seller that was trying to sell their home by themselves for sale by owner, which happens out there, not much. I want to say it's under 7% of all sales are for sale by owner. And a percentage of those are people that are just transferring the home to someone in their family. So very simple. Yeah, that makes sense. Heck, you don't even really need an agent most of the time. You can do it at escrow, right? But if you want to sell your house on the market, taking it on yourself, tackling all the marketing, understanding the market, understanding the values and the pricing strategies and the negotiating tactics, and dealing with this new lawsuit, the way everything's been changed up, which is throwing kind of a wrench in the program for some people. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. It hasn't affected me too much at all in my business. But you do have to be aware of it and understand how you're going to handle that with every seller and buyer that you are working with now, because a lot of people just still believe it's done the old way. Interesting fact, it's always been this way. A commission has always been negotiable. There's never been a commission set in stone in any state across the country ever. So all they've really done with this is move the cheese around a little bit. But the most confusing part, or the most challenging part out of the whole thing, is this buyer-broker agreement, where you have to have that signed and agree on a commission that the buyer is now going to pay the broker, unless they could get it from the seller, which I could tell you this, they're all going to try to get it from the seller. So be prepared for that, sellers. Be prepared. They're going to come after you to pay that buyer-broker commission regardless. Doesn't mean you have to. You've never had to. That's going to be up to you, but it's a negotiation. Just another negotiation. That's it. That's all. So
you don't want to try to brave these things on your own. There's a reason why these professionals exist. And
Right.
that is why the majority of people that buy and sell homes use realtors to represent them, because there are many nuances. And I, as a lender, I'm not a licensed realtor, but I can tell you there are many nuances that realtors cover and that they will handle for you that wouldn't even occur to you if you didn't have a realtor.
Absolutely, 100%. I couldn't agree with you any more than that, Dave. And well said. I'm glad you brought that up. So again, 9 out of 10 buyers using a real estate agent to represent themselves. This case is now finalized. It's done. That's it. That's the deal. And let's see how long this lasts. I don't know. Maybe it'll last forever. We'll see.
So both sides have agreed to this. There's no further appealing or appellate court that's involved. Both sides have agreed to this.
You know, I don't know if I never say never. I mean, right? I mean, who knows? I mean, this is the legal system. Anything could happen. So, one thing I wanted to get into too, I said I was going to talk about the 5 best cities in Southern California to invest in rental properties. We've got some really good areas in here and throughout all of California, but I'm just going to focus on Southern California today. And the first city that we're going to bring up is Winchester. Winchester, right? I know. No, it's in Riverside County.
As you go about saying why, I have a feeling that these best cities have to do with cap ratio, means how much you buy it for versus how much you can rent it out for, and what they call cap ratio or cap rate. But
Well,
I don't know if you want to touch on that.
yes. Cap rate will definitely bake into that. 100%.
I mean, as an example, the cap rate in Santa Monica is extremely low because it takes a lot to buy the property and it's rent control, versus the cap rate in Winchester might be significantly higher because the cost of property is a lot less, but you can still collect good rent.
Right. Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. The median price in Winchester is $669,000, and the median rental price is $31.33. Okay.
Wow, that is a phenomenal ratio.
That is. That's why it's one of the top ones in Southern California to go to. These are the cities that are under the radar right now. I'm bringing some of the hot sauce right here. Okay. Blythe. This is another one. Okay. And it's among one of the most affordable areas in all of SoCal. It's located in the Colorado Desert section of the Sonoran Desert. Summer all year long here in Blythe. Close to Havasu Lake, Joshua Tree Park, and the Salton Sea, right? Rent, so a $229,000 median purchase price and a $1,350 monthly rent for a median out there. Hawthorne makes the list at $870,000 for your average purchase price out there.
Hawthorne, California?
Hawthorne, California, yeah. These are all in California, my man.
Wow.
All in California.
Good to
We're talking about the 5 top cities in California. Matter of fact, more specifically, Southern California, right? So Hawthorne, $870 purchase price average and $2,150 for the rental average out there. Another hot spot is Lake Los Angeles with an $873 sales price and a $3,248 monthly rental average out there.
And Lake Los Angeles, for those of us who don't know, Lake Los Angeles is about where? Is that in Silver Lake area, or
I don't know where Lake Los Angeles is. Amelia, do you know where Lake Los Angeles is?
It's LA County, isn't it?
I think it is.
I'm just asking because some people might not know where Lake Los Angeles is. Oh, okay. Sorry. So it's up there.
Yes. Yeah. Way up there. Okay.
All right. Gotcha. So it's up there in the Antelope Valley.
That would be LA County. It should be LA County.
Yeah, because Lancaster Palmdale is also LA County. Yeah.
Right. And then even going out to Mojave and out that. But beyond that, I don't know. Then we start, at some point, you start getting into Nevada. You go too far. Right?
So Lake Los Angeles is another area where the ratio of rents to price is good.
$873 average sales price and $3,248 for the average rental.
That's pretty darn good.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Here's the last one on the list, Stanton, California. $751 average sales price and a $2,541 average rent out in Stanton. They have a small population in there, 39,000 pop. The Airbnb rate there in Stanton is 87% occupancy. Here's the deal about Stanton, right? A lot of people are Stanton. That's not really made the map.
I've lived here for several decades, and I've never even heard of Stanton.
Likewise. I've heard of it, but I wasn't kind of blew it off. So here's the deal: it's 15 minutes from Anaheim, and about 30 minutes from Long Beach and Huntington Beach. So if you've got property there, and you could Airbnb that, Disneyland, um, Huntington Beach, the beaches, everything's so perfect. That is, Dave. We should run out there and get some rental properties because that is hot stuff right there. I didn't even
This
know
is
that.
a really good list. This is a much better list than I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to talk about places, thousands of miles away or hundreds of miles away. It's
Well,
very
thanks for your vote
interesting
of
to know that
confidence,
just
Dave,
right
but
here in
yeah,
our backyard, there's places that are really, really attractive to invest.
that's correct.
Affordable and profitable.
Affordable and profitable. So real quick, I'm going to break down a couple quick cities, the most expensive cities in California to own. LA makes number one, SB, Santa Barbara, Santa Rosa, and coming in number 4 is San Diego. San Francisco makes number 5, Salinas, Vallejo, San Jose, Sacramento, Stockton. Stockton? Really? Not necessarily just because of the prices, because the average there, I believe it's just under 400,000 in Stockton.
Maybe the rents are lower there.
It's the cost of utilities and the cost of transportation in the Stockton area is about 20% higher than the national average, believe it or not, and food for some reason. So, yeah, cost of living in Stockton is pretty high. I'm not sure why, but it is. So, and Newport Beach, of course. I mean, good Lord, Newport Beach, there's so many beautiful multi-million-dollar homes everywhere you look in Newport Beach, Anyways, so there you go. There's your best places to buy rental properties, which I think we unveiled some really below the radar
cities. I call them nuggets.
Nuggets. Thank you, Dave. Nuggets. These are golden McDonald nuggets. God bless you. And let's move forward let's talk about this whole celebrity thing going on here. Being blacklisted by real estate brokers in Los Angeles. What is going on? I mean, this is not the first time, but the most recent celebrity being blacklisted from real estate agents and brokers in LA is Justin Combs, which is the son of P. Diddy Combs, right? And why is he being blacklisted? What is the deal with that? I'll tell you what they're saying is because of these wild energetic parties, they called it in the news, energetic parties that they're throwing in these properties and damaging the properties. Well, I'm not thinking it's a Red Bull party. I'm thinking there's some energy in these parties, but I'm not quite sure what they're drinking. But it's not Red Bull, right? Something's going on in these parties, and they're getting
Let's just say energy is a very discreet word.
It's a very discreet word, energy, yeah. They're getting carried away with these parties, and they're damaging beautiful mansions, just beating the crap out of them, and then leaving them to the owners to take over it. So that's a no-no. Sorry, you can't do that. So they're being blacklisted, and there's brokers that do not want to work with them and represent their owners of these properties to, handle these wild party rentals, right? Hear anything about that, Dave?
I've seen one. The only one that I saw on the news was Sean P. Diddy Combs' son. But when you say blacklisted, for those of us that don't know, if you can just explain, does that mean that they're not allowed to rent?
There may not be an official blacklist somewhere, written somewhere, but
right. But if it's a silent blacklist, means if these people try to go and do an Airbnb, they're on a list somewhere where the owner says, thank you very much, but no thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's probably how it all.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. People get these Airbnb rentals and they just tear them up. They party time, big time. I had a client that had an Airbnb in California a while back, and she said that there was some solar sales guys that rented her house. Real nice pool house, real cool, sexy house. They rented, that was like a 4-bedroom and big lot. And they had their whole sales training group there where they get like 30, 40 solar sales guys and, ramp them up, and get them out there. But then, of course, they're drinking kegs of beer at night and jumping in the pool out there partying and, tore the place apart. And a lot of these places have cameras outside. And so the police were called on that, and woo, that party ended, right? Real quick. So anyways, I don't know. You got any wild stories, Dave? You've heard about this, about celebrities and Airbnbs getting
Not so
trashed?
much wild stories, but you look at human nature, and you take people and you give them a bunch of alcohol, you get them fired up, and you put them, and they're in a location that is not their home. It's a recipe for what you're describing,
Disaster,
I would say.
right? Yeah, yeah.
And it's
I
just
mean,
the flaw in the system is we're all human beings. I'm sure most of these people aren't thinking, well, this belongs to somebody else. This is somebody else's home, so let's be careful. They're having a good time, and they're not really worried about what they do and don't do.
right. I guess that's right. You know, some of these guys are breaking out chainsaws and throwing shit into the pool and, flipping cars upside down. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of
Well, a lot of it has to do with accountability. And people feel like they can get away with something. I always say, people will get away with what you let them. And so if they're in a
yeah,
mindset, if they're in a place where either they're slightly intoxicated, so they're not thinking clearly, or they just figure, look, there's not going to be any consequences. I could break a window. I could, throw something in the pool, and nobody's going to know it's me, and I won't get caught with my hand in a cookie jar. So let's have some fun.
I got to be honest. Ever since I've passed the age of 18, when I have a couple of drinks, I never think about throwing something in the pool or out the window. I don't know. Maybe just got over that, I guess. When I was younger, maybe I would throw something out the window and into the pool, and myself along with it. But today, no, not so much. No, sorry to be so
Yep.
boring. But anyways,
Well, interesting stuff. This is very recently is the first time in my career where I've become aware of the fact that there are people who are quote unquote blacklisted from home. But it makes perfect sense now that you brought it up.
yeah, 100%. And why you got to ask a huge security deposit and have your insurance in order and in check before you take on a celebrity like Mr. Combs here coming into your house. And you might want to check his party list. Yeah, Dad's got troubles too, so it might be running in the family a little bit.
Well,
so.
and one of the cautions one could take, which I'm sure you and I would take if we were renting out a place like this to someone, is I'm sure have some sort of a legal disclosure that says, okay, this is what you're going to do. Under no circumstances can you do this, and if you decide to do this XYZ, there could be legal consequences. So that if they're thinking about telling you there's only 20 people and 100 show up and they have a wild party, again, consequences. If there's a document that legally says you can't do this, and if you're going to do this, there's going to be legal consequences, people might think twice.
That's right, 100%. Hopefully
if you're a homeowner thinking about doing this, that might be something you might want to look at.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Dave, I'll tell you, I think we kind of covered all of the information we have for our people today. I hope that you had some value in some of the things we brought your direction. Click a like and subscribe so we can keep you updated on these next videos coming out with some of the hottest information right off top of the presses. And always reach out to Dave if you have any questions for him or me anytime. We're here to help.
And don't forget to send us feedback, whether it's positive, negative, or even questions. A lot of times on this podcast, we love to address the questions that you send us. So if you can send us some good questions, we will certainly address them and answer them on our next podcast. And in the interest of good information, we don't want to give everything away on this one because we got a lot of good stuff saved up for the next one. So get ready to tune in there.
Get ready because we're coming back. See you next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.